It reminds me, so I just want to read a short quote from you in your book where I think you kind of capture exactly what you're talking about. It's on page 218 in chapter 8, and you write, for Aquinas, humans are God's good, beloved creatures, embodied manifestations of God's love, formed in a way that we are able to know God and the things of God and to conform our lives to God's ratio, God's good ordering of the world. As creatures formed for God, we seek beatitudo in all of our actions, and perfect beatitudo is found only in pursuing God as our highest end. We are wayfarers on a journey from God to God, a journey made possible not only by our activity, but by God's gracious action towards us in the person and work of Christ. We are on the way. Christ is the way, and all our lives are those of wayfarers on a journey. And I just love that those lines and the way that it paints such a beautiful picture of what it means to be human and what it means to live a life under God's care.
I think of that paragraph that you read, that idea that humans are uh, embodied manifestations of God's creative love. I actually took that directly from the work of my Duke colleague here, Duke Norman Wiersbe, who writes
Hmm.
about creation. His point when he writes about this idea is that like we often think that human dignity comes because like we're just these biological creatures, and then God somehow like you know somehow like names us good, like God like directs God's love for us, and it's by virtue of God's love for us that we're beloved. And he says creation isn't like that, that God speaks the world into existence, that creatures don't like ever exist apart from God's creative love. And so
Hmm.
rather than thinking like, oh, we have this meaningless creation that God has somehow like imparted meaning on, it's that from the very act of creation. You can't ever get behind creation in a way that God's creative love is not there. And so creatures, including human beings, are like visible, embodied, tangible manifestations of God's creative love. And that's not exactly how Aquinas phrased it, but I think it's so consistent with Aquinas's
Hmm.
vision. And I just think it's really helped me in my clinical care and also just in my thinking about myself to see our world in that way.